And I think that's a great way for me to segue into my way too early top 25 that you can read fully at foxsports.com right now, because I spent all weekend working on it along with United Football League stuff that I would really like you to read as well. But you can see right now I got Michigan at number 1 going into 2024. Now, we'll talk about Jim Harbaugh and his future in depth at a later date. If he decides to make a decision to stay at Michigan or leave for the NFL, we will talk about it. You will be able to come right here, because as soon as that news is, well, final, we will have things to say about it. But I got them as the number 1 team in the country. I had them at the number 1 team in the country because a couple years ago, I had a college football playoff selection committee moment. Well, people aren't banging down my door because I left Florida State out of the college football playoff, but they were banging down my door because I didn't have Michigan in top 25. I'm like, hey, am I the only person that didn't think that losing both of your coordinators and a lot of your personnel and your head coach flirting with the NFL is not a good thing? Yeah, turns out I was. And Michigan went right ahead, beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten title, made the college football playoff. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to rank in the top 4. And I had them ranked as the number 1 team in the country for half the year, right? We get around, time to do the damn thing. They're still the number 1 team in the country when we get to college football playoff. And now, having won the national championship, they're going to lose Blake Corum. They might lose J.J. McCarthy. They are going to lose a bunch on defense. It ain't going to matter until it matters. I'm out on doubting this team. I picked against them when they played Bama. I picked against them when they played Washington. I picked against them when they played Ohio State. And each time they throw your man the 2 middle fingers. Good on y'all, dog. I love it. Like, for real. I mean that with my whole heart. Give me all the smoke on this one. But I got you as the number 1 team in the way too early top 25. And if that ain't what it is, come post-spring when we do this again, or come August when we do this again, we'll talk about it then. But right now, I ain't down that team. Something in the water up there in Ann Arbor. That's all I got right now, because I can look at this as a football brain and go, there are reasons why this should not work, and yet it does, right? I got Georgia number 2 because they're going to return their starting quarterback. They're going to return Mike Bobo, Glenn Schumann, Will Muschamps. They added Trevor Etienne to the list of outstanding players. I know they're going to lose Brock Bowers, but it ain't that big a deal because Kirby Smart knows how to build this thing, both high school recruits and out of the transfer portal. As a matter of fact, they added a transfer portal quarterback earlier before the college football playoff national championship was even being played, right? They thought that losing Dylan Raiola was going to be a big deal. Nah. Let him go to Nebraska. We will rebuild and we'll go on and do this again. I think Georgia is also in a great position to be the SEC champ. Texas at 3. Quinn Ewers coming back. We'll see if that sticks, right? I like what Steve Sarkisian was able to do in 2023, really accomplishing what Texas hadn't since 2009 and winning the Big 12 title, and then making the college football playoff for the first time in school history. You're going to have C.J. Baxter in that backfield. Jonte Cook is an absolute weapon on the outside, and then I think Pete Kwiatkowski's going to be able to retool that defense and make them competitive in the SEC. Going to Alabama there, I think the most important part about that is Kevin Steele is expected to retire after some 40 years in coaching. He's 66 years old. He's had 3 different stops with Nick Saban. And I think this is a great way for him to go out on this team that not just made the college football playoff in what is a rebuilding year, but was really great defensively. It also reminds me that Nick Saban has been coaching football since 1971, and he shows no signs of slowing down. I'm going to speed through 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 here, except to say I think Washington at 7 is generous. I think that they've earned the 6th spot. We'll see if they can keep that. Dan Lanning has been really great, not just going into the portal, but developing those guys out of the portal into players. He's got Dylan Gabriel. He's got Dante Moore. He's got Tez Johnson coming back. He's got Jordan James. They're in a great position to compete for the Big Ten title in 2024. Ole Miss, 11-win season, first time in over 100 years at Mississippi, but that's not the standard anymore. The standard is not the best the program has ever been. The standard is trying to win the SEC Conference Championship for the first time since 1963. So they went into the portal and they try to come out. And they'll have to because Quinshon Judkins went into the portal. He's come out at Ohio State. That news came out earlier this evening as we are doing the show. We'll see what that means for Travion Henderson. I know that Will Howard's going to really love that. They added him out of the portal just a little bit earlier on. Ryan Day is going to try to get this thing figured out. I think the surprise here is Arizona at 10. They earned that, not just with what they did against Oklahoma in the Alamo Bowl, but what Jedd Fisch was able to do with Arizona in a loaded Pac-12. Noah Fifita absolutely turned into an outstanding quarterback. You're going to see him talked about as an NFL prospect in the 2025 class. I guarantee that. Florida State at 11. I waffled on this because I understand they lose a lot. Keon Coleman, Jordan Travis, Trey Benson, Jaheim Bell, Johnny Wilson, Jared Verse. I can keep going. But what Mike Norvell has been able to do is cobble together great football teams and then let them run. And that's what they did in 2022, certainly what they did in 2023. They go 12-0 for the first time since 1999 in the regular season. And my goodness, 1999 in the regular season, leading in 13-0 without winning the national championship. I think we could talk about Mike Norvell and with the job he has done forever. But I think that we're going to look back at what Florida State was able to accomplish, and we're going to give them even more appreciation, right? Now, 11, I think we'll talk about it later, right? But right now, after what they did against Georgia, or I should say didn't do against Georgia, with what they had left, we'll see. We'll see what he can do in the spring, and we'll see what that roster looks like come post-spring and certainly going into the summer. At 12, Penn State feels fine. 13, LSU, I mean, leave it to Brian Kelly to fire everybody but Bob Diaco. But then, go get Blake Baker from Missouri and say, we got to fix this defense. Your defense reminded me of 2018 Oklahoma. And no, that is not a compliment. Got OU at 14. We'll see what that looks like with a new defensive coordinator. Ted Roof decided to not stay at Oklahoma after it was clear that Brent Venables wanted to go a different direction. Early reports are Zach Alley might be the dude, right, who showed up to Clemson as a true freshman in college to be a football coach. So he has been looking to be a football coach for the past 14 years. It's a man that really, really wanted to do the job and really thinks of Brent Venables as a father figure. We're excited to see what Oklahoma can do with this nasty schedule that they got in SEC competition. Oklahoma State's going to return a Wooderson Award winner. That would be Alan Bowman, who goes into his 7th year as a quarterback. But you know what? They also got Ollie Gordon, who won the program's first Doak Walker Award. I mean, because Barry Sanders was playing when they didn't give out that award. But you get my point here. 1,600 yards on the ground. I got Tennessee with Josh Heupel heading to Oklahoma in SEC competition this year. That ought to be a lot of fun. Notre Dame, I think it's about Mike Denbrock and Riley Leonard. We'll see what that relationship can give us, what fruits it will harvest. And then we got, I think Clemson's going to be fine. I don't know if they're going to be good. I think we should really appreciate Tyler from Spartanburg because it didn't look good for Clemson. And then they end up winning 9 games yet again with a really great win against a good Kentucky team. We'll see what Kansas State looks like with Avery Johnson, but I like what I saw in the Pop-Tarts Bowl because I actually watched that game and didn't just watch the toaster do the thing. I was very interested in what Avery Johnson was able to do, and I am pleased with what I saw. Utah, another Wooderson Award winner in Cam Rising, who should be well rested after he didn't play in 2023. They'll go into Big 12 competition expecting to compete for that crown. I think USC being the 7-5 team here, yeah, you understand. Miller Moss showed up and said, we don't need no transfer quarterback because I'm the transfer quarterback. That dude had 6 TDs against the good Louisville team in the Holiday Bowl. That is a season high for any quarterback at SC in 2023. Remember, Caleb Williams went for 6 TDs against Colorado on September 30th. And Miller Moss did that against top 25 team. That was really good. And Lincoln Riley went out of his way to say, you know what? I think he scared off anybody that might wanted to come here. Certainly scared the hell out of Malachi Nelson because he's at Boise State. So we'll see what they can do in Big Ten competition next year. West Virginia 22, I think that's going to be a bit of a surprise to you all. But that's a 9-win team who's only, of the 4 losses they had, only one of them was to a team that was not ranked at all in 2023. I think Neil Brown needed to turn it around in 2023, and he's done just that. Kansas at 23, you know how much I love Lance Leipold. I think that they're going to be in a great spot. I know losing Andy Kotelnicki to Penn State, it's going to hurt, but you got Jalen Daniels coming back, and you also got a Devin Neal there as well. Kentucky at 24, you're adding Brock Vandegrift and Jamon Dumas-Johnson from Georgia. I think they're going to be contenders, but we're also talking about a Kentucky team that ain't really figured into the SEC and as far as who can win the conference championship and is looking to win its first conference championship since 1976. And then Iowa at 25. For the love of all that is good and holy, please, Iowa Hawkeye offense, be decent. Phil Parker won the Broyles Award because he's, for 3 consecutive years, had one of the 3 best defenses of all college football. I love watching Iowa play football because it's basically a duskier version of Michigan, but they deserve to have a great offense in Iowa. Make it so. If the offense was on par with the writer's workshop, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be talking about them being Ohio State. All right? I just need you to give me an offense that is worthy of the writer's workshop and the hospital that you got there. That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. That's my top 25 as I see it. If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.